Welcome to Risk Engineers Talk Governance. This is the first of 2 episodes where due diligence engineers Richard Robinson and Gaye discuss how information sharing has changed, with part 1 focused on SFAIRP Internet. We hope you enjoy the chat. If you do, please support our work by giving us a rating and subscribing on your favourite podcast platform. And if you'd like more information on R2A, our newsletter and resources, or have any feedback or topic ideas, please head to the website r2a.com.au.
Good morning, Richard, or hello, Richard. Welcome to our podcast session today.
Morning, Elizabeth Gaye. Good to be here.
Oh, thank you.
You meant to say hello and finish based on our earlier discussion.
Tervetuloa. Okay, today we're going to talk about SFAIRP and how it relates to managing internet risk. And I think that's one that's really become increasingly common and needs to be thought through a little bit by organisations, especially in the age that we're living in now. And I think you were going to explain R2A's journey with internet risk and how we've been managing it over the last probably 10 years or so.
I like the term manage in that regard. But basically, it was just worth explaining the history of this because it sort of explains why we are where we are. I mean, in history, we can remember backing things up to CDs and having duplicate CDs and carting them around. And
Correct, that was my monthly task, or every 3 months to cut a CD of everything that we backed up to the file server.
But then disk drive suddenly got big, and so we could write all the CVs back to the disk drive, and then we could have a server in the office. Now, when we put the server in the office, we're a bit more cunning. We didn't just sort of make it live to the internet with an address. Basically, even at that time, we concluded the right way to be secure is as far as possible not to be on the internet. And that's the elimination option in the SFAIRP terms, right? So what we basically did was put a server which was just serving to the office on the hard line, and it had its own dedicated internal IP address and all those sorts of things with its own security. And that means any time you wanted to back something up or get something, you had to actually be in the office. You couldn't be off-site.
Correct.
And if you wanted something, you had to get somebody to mail it to you if you didn't have it with you on the time.
Yep.
And part of the reason for doing that was because laptops didn't just have enough memory. So anyway, then COVID turned up.
Yes.
Our office basically we had to sort of leave the damn thing because they gave us 6 months at a reduced rate, but then they wanted to put it back up to 100% again. And we had another 18 months, it turned out, in Melbourne locked out. So we sort of had to move out. So what we then decided to do was to put our current in-house secure server on the internet, on a secure, I think it was AWS Amazon web server, I think it was. And we hired quite expensive advice from a very competent person.
Yeah.
And that was set up and that actually worked quite well.
So you were able to dial in remotely.
And everything was available online. The problem with that was that we didn't have a big staff, and when something went wrong, we tended to have to re-hire this person, and because he wasn't spending time with us all the time, he sort of had to go and reconsider our system, and it was all a bit klutzy.
It added complexity to it, didn't it? And we didn't have control over.
And every time we wanted something, you had to log in, and then something didn't work, and you went, what the hell happened? And then I had to ring you up and say, what's going on? Or perhaps more accurately, you rang me up.
I rang you up too, yes. It's not my forte.
And then we thought about that for a while. We said, look, the whole point of this SFAIRP business is that the point is not to be online unless you need to be. And it's not as though we didn't have certain things online that we wanted, like our CRM, our booking, scheduling system is, I think it's Canadian software. I have no idea what the server is.
Yeah.
It could be in Australia, it could be in Canada.
Yes.
And our accounting package is actually Kiwi. We still actually run that on a server, but it doesn't have to be. It could be on the cloud, and we'll probably do that in the near future because the server's so now old. But all our secure data, our client data, we said, well, look.
Internal.
The laptops, we have 2 terabytes of storage on our laptops, which is absolutely unbelievable. And obviously we only have about a terabyte of actual secure client R2A data. And if you use Apple encryption, it's, I've no doubt the American government's probably got a backdoor into it, and I might imagine the Australian government can too. But if somebody's serious about getting into our system, well, if they got one of our laptops, they probably could, but normal mortals can't.
Yeah.
That part's pretty clear. And then basically in our office, what we do is we don't bother having a server anymore. We just have an encrypted hard drive to which we log on and back up when we're in the office. And if one of us needs something, we then send a file around. But that basically means our client data isn't online ever, except when we're online doing something. But then somebody's got to get through the Apple encryption to get to it anyway.
Yes.
Now, but that's still focusing on from our point of view, the elimination option. Now, what's sort of happened the way the world's gone with, and you're talking about your daughters and how everyone's combating the online. I think that's actually going to be the subject of our next podcast in particular, the public sphere and what's happening to it in information terms. But the obvious way, if you want to be secure
and keep your kids safe is not to be online.
Not to be online.
Can do it. Yeah.
And basically that's where we're trying to head. Now, the whole world is trying to prevent you from doing this. It's like we try to buy Office, Word and Excel and all that sort of stuff on a standalone basis.
Correct.
And
which we've done.
But we keep buying it that way.
But you keep getting these messages to automatically update and log into Google.
As soon as you log in
Office.
and you put on an application now, it immediately goes off and checks to see if you're legit and all the rest of it. And the way AI's gone, if you want information, it's forcing you to be online continuously. And from a SFAIRP security point of view...
An elimination option, that's
dumb.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are starting to recognise this and trying to get themselves back offline, because if you look at the comments about Microsoft not forcing you to 365 and continuous logons, there's a lot of narky people out there. You're not just the only one. There are a lot of narky people out there. And the way in which the different universes, the Apple and Google and everybody else, they're trying to get you into the universe and keep you there. I mean, that's what the AI is doing, in effect, because, I think we'll talk about it time before, that you can't rely on AI to give you the right thing. Well, what seems to be happening is that AI is hallucinating, basically, and it's partly because the AI people, I think ChatGPT, I forget what version they're up to, but the AI that's going to win commercially is the one that gets the most questions.
Right.
And so they set the AI up to give you the answers you want.
So you keep asking the questions.
So you keep asking the question the way they want, and you get happy about it. It's a bit like, the podcasters, you keep getting information that you search, and the algorithm keeps putting you to podcasters that tell you what you want to know.
Yeah. Look, as people that have had AI spit out our name a couple of times, we were doing a course last week and somebody said they put a question in and R2A came up in that AI summary.
Well,
I
did one last week too, and I got the same thing. What I couldn't work out was it knew I was R2A, and so it was giving me what I wanted to see.
Possibly.
And this is where and that's why when they're saying that the AIs are hallucinating, because it's basically saying, well, I've seen this person before. What do they belong to this chick? What do they want to hear? And the AI then serving it what you want and creating false references and basically reinforcing what you want to know. So it's not giving you truth.
Yeah.
It's just giving you what you want to hear. So if you're talking about getting into a bubble, it's getting worse and worse. So, according to these guys, they were talking about it's gone up from, I think in 2024 it was about 10% of the answers could be hallucinations.
Right.
And last year it was getting up to 40% in some cases.
Wow, that's a big jump.
That's a big jump. Now, if they're truly forcing, if the AI that succeeds is the one that gets the money, and that's why they're all pushing it so hard, they've got to get you into their ecosphere and they've got to hold you there. So they're really driving this hard. But that sort of then flows onto the question, I think that was going to be our next podcast, onto the public sphere and risk in the public sphere and how it all works.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen there. But in the meantime, and I've got to say, our journey getting to trying to stay off the internet, I think I've commented to you a couple of times, I'm going to go with a simpler phone in future. Once I don't need to use a CRM that's Apple orientated, and I'll probably get rid of the Apple Watch and just go to a nice mechanical one again and generally simplify my life. Because
you reckon there's a market for Nokia phones from the 1990s to come back in
fashion? Nokia phones is back. Because Microsoft sold them back after losing 6 million to the Finns.
Look, and I think that comes back down to, the topic of this particular podcast season is so far the moral imperative versus the commercial reality. And maybe it's not just commercial reality, it's sort of world reality, isn't it? But SFAIRP is trying to simplify the complexities that come with the world that we find ourselves in at the moment.
Well, your problem with your daughters, which you they're desperate to be online continuously.
They are desperate to be online continuously, and I'm the worst mum in the world and the only mum in the world that doesn't allow it. But
you're trying to get them offline as much as you can. You and your SFAIRP principles.
I am. But It's tricky to navigate that and to balance it in the world that we live in, and organisations are having that same, like we had. You know, you have to be online to do business, but to be secure, you have to be offline. So what is the balance, and what is reasonable in the circumstances?
Well, what we've basically landed on, not necessarily due to great design processes, I guess.
Or
Management is that you keep anything that's really secure offline
Correct.
as much as you can, and you only go online when you need it.
Yeah.
And you make sure that you can work and everything you can do. If you need, we want to be able to do your work without being online.
Yes. So I think it's ours is we're the confusing people, because we're sort of intermittent, aren't we, online? So
Well, that's right.
It's really unpredictable when you can come and hack us, whereas if you're online continuously,
You're sitting
there's
there,
the
you're the
opportunity
target,
there.
whereas we flash in and out.
Yeah.
And so if somebody's trying to keep track of us, well, we're making a lot harder work for them. I can't say they wouldn't do it, but it's a lot harder than they used to be.
I don't know that was a planned mechanism, but that's just maybe our nature.
I think we actually thought about it, because when we come into the office, we turn our internet on. Otherwise,
Correct.
the internet's off.
Yes.
So the office internet only shows up every, week or 2 days a week at the most, probably, when we're actually in the office together. Whereas and at home, I mean, when I flip my laptop on, it's on, and then when I close it up again, it's off.
Yeah.
So I'm intermittent. The only server I still have is our financial server, and that's the internet number on that changes enough to confuse everybody anyway.
Well, I think on that note, what we wanted to show you today was that we're using the SFAIRP principle for a whole lot of things, and it can be a useful tool, not just for WHS and
Although
work health and safety.
it can cause some difficulties with daughters.
It can cause some difficulty with daughters, but I'm happy to continue to navigate those. So thank you for joining us today, and we're going to come back with part 2 in a little bit on the public sphere. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.